Hello everyone. This video we are going to look expense ratio in mutual fund. This expense ratio is very important for the mutual fund. If you're a beginner, you're going to start for investment journey in mutual fund in a sense, you should know this basic information. So from this video we are going to look what is expense ratio, okay, which is a good expense ratio, and why most of the people they are speaking about mutual fund in a sense expense ratio is a very important things. Okay, these all those things we are going to look in this video. Let's see. Okay, the first is expense ratio. So the meaning, you should know what is expense ratio. So expense ratio in a sense, we are going to pay for annual cost for managing and operating for the mutual fund. Okay, if you're taking for a particular fund, so that fund someone is managing, we are not going to manage that fund, right? So for that we are going to pay for certain cost. That cost, call it as annual cost. Okay, so this respective expenses which we are paying as an investor, call it as expense ratio. So each and every mutual fund they mention for expense ratio. Based on expense ratio only we need to invest for particular fund. So why it is that much important, that and all we can look for after that. So this expense ratio we already told, that is a maintenance cost for the annual period. So this amount we are going to pay for a particular company. Okay, so who is managing this fund, that particular fund company we are going to pay for it. So that company they will deduct on a daily basis from the net asset value. This is also important for mutual fund, net asset value. Okay, so from that net asset value only they will deduct this respective thing, and especially we not required to pay any special amount for that. Okay, automatically they will deduct this respective amount on daily basis, or else based on the tenure of our fund. Okay, our tenure period will be 1 year or 5 year or 3 years. Based on that they will make a calculation, and according to that they will deduct. For ETF fund and all they will deduct on daily basis. Okay, that is exchange traded fund, that is available in UAE also. Okay, for other mutual funds it's available in India, but the mutual fund, all type of mutual fund which is not available over here for UAE, it's available for ETF. Okay, so how does expense ratio express? Okay, how we know this much of amount deducted for expense ratio only, in a sense it will express in terms of fee. So what kind of fees? In a sense, portfolio management fees, or marketing fees, or allocation fees, okay, administration charges, and how much of amount they are spending for advertisement. These kind of all cost including in this. Okay, so before you're taking for a particular fund, it has mentioned over there what is a NAV, expense ratio, CAGR. Okay, these kind of things, and entry load, exit load. So these all the terms will be very important for the mutual fund. So right now we are looking for expense ratio. Okay, in the remaining videos we can look what are the other important things you need to look for the mutual funds. Okay, so right now you can understand that percentage will be including these kind of fees. Okay, and other query you will ask, okay, tell me which is a good expense ratio. Exactly correct, because expense ratio always should be minimum thing. A lower expense ratio only you need to choose, because it is a lower investment cost. So lower expense ratio in a sense depends upon the fund, it will be differ. So actively managed fund and passively managed fund. Okay, active managed fund normally the expense ratio a little bit higher, so we need to choose which will be the lower, we need to choose it. For passive fund, passively managed fund, the maximum expense ratio will be 1% only. Okay, so what is active fund and what is passive fund? In a sense, the active fund the fund managers will manage, and passive fund manager will not take a decision of it for changing the portfolio. Okay, that is a simple difference between active fund as well as for passive funds. Because active fund manager will be there, so for that respective person's salary also we are the one going to give, right? In our the group of people will be available for the particular fund, those people, all people together, they are going to pay for a fees of respective person. That's a reason we have mentioned over here portfolio management fee, which is including for fund managers fees also. Okay, and which is a good expense ratio in a sense. For active fund will be 0.5% to 0.75. Below also you can take it. Okay, if it is 0.5 below, as well as the maximum will be 0.75, it will be a good expense ratio. And for active fund, if it is more than 1%, consider as a high. Okay, some of the good fund and all, best fund managers will manage, and it will be around 1.25, 1.5, and something will be 2 also will be available. Okay, these are all the things will be higher. So people will ask why it is lower and higher. In a sense, that is a only one point of view they are telling you need to choose it for low expense ratio. Why? What's the reason? You're getting for the revenue, right? You're getting for the return from the mutual funds. If you're taking for high expense ratio, in a sense, those maximum fees you're going to pay for the expense itself, right? For a particular company management operation cost itself, you're going to pay. So that's the reason your return figure will be lower. Suppose if you're taking for expense ratio lower, in a sense, your return is also not eat for the expenses, you will get it more return, right? So that's the main reason they will say the expense ratio you need to look for the lower one. Okay, that's the main purpose they will say. So how we can calculate for this expense ratio? In a sense, total expenses for the particular fund, what are the total expenses occurred? So how much of amount they spend for advertisement in order to invite for the investors, okay, and how much of amount they spend for the software for calculating all the information related to each and every company news and all those things, right? So how much of technical things they have used, how much of employee they adopted, these all expenses they will include. That is called it as total expenses, in which they will deduct for total asset of the fund. It means the total asset of the fund will be 8 crore or 10 crore, in a sense, they will deduct in that. Say for example, if you're investing for 10,000 rupees, okay, from the respective fund they have mentioned 0.3%. So if you're calculating in which 30 rupee will come, that is your annual fee. This 30 depends upon the duration, okay. At any time you're going to sell, in a sense, on daily basis they will deduct. If you're putting for particular contract 5 years or 3 years, in a sense, they will deduct this expense ratio on yearly basis. Okay, normally ETFs they will deduct on daily basis for this expense ratio. So these are all the things, very important thing for expense ratio. So the people, those who are investing for mutual fund, this is a main concept you need to look before going to take for particular mutual fund. So active also available and passive also available. While you're comparing with active and passive, active will be high expense ratios there, and passive maximum will be 1%. Okay, so depends upon your risk level, you can choose it for active fund or passive fund. And remaining videos we can look for CAGR and what is NAV and what are the types of mutual funds will be available in all the detail. Okay, suppose if you're already a subscriber, well and good. If you're looking for new viewers, in a sense, you can subscribe this channel and keep on watch for getting future update as well as for financial insights also. Okay, thank you friends, thank you for watching this. Bye.